Nice.
Cool, man. That jam track is available for you right below the video. Welcome to this week's Q&A live session, guys.
Yes, a little bit different today. We're in a different studio right now.
A lot of different things going on today.
Which has nothing to do with the fact that we're doing a Q&A today.
Right.
It's just we have other stuff going on in the other studio.
Yeah, Drumio's VIP is actually going on where people from all over the world actually physically come to this location and learn for the week here. So they have to have room for the drum kits. So we're in actually the drum studio. There's a drum kit right there. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's pretty cool. And there's just tons of cymbals around. It feels really cool in here.
It does.
And it's cooler in here.
I was gonna mention that. It feels nice and cool in here, thankfully. So obviously we're doing kind of something a little bit more casual today, a little bit more Q&A focused. Way back in the day, at the very start of the GL Academy, we called it, we did more of a focus on Q&A sessions.
Unless you remember that.
Yeah, yeah. So going way back, we kind of wanted to bring that back because I think it does a really good job of allowing us to actually like engage with you guys on the topics you want to talk about, rather than it being like, oh, I don't really play blues, I don't really care.
Yeah, if you show up for a metal lesson or a fingerstyle lesson, you're not into that or something.
Yeah, exactly. So this is going to be way more casual. We're just going to hang out. We're going to talk to each other about random stuff related to the guitar, obviously. And you guys can send in questions. You can post questions in chat. We'll actually be monitoring chat very closely. And
on a random note, I'm feeling much better. I've been really sick for like almost 2 weeks. I'm still coughing a lot, but thank God, finally. Like I haven't been playing much guitar lately at all, or doing anything, pretty much.
You sound way better.
I sounded like death last week, so it was pretty nasty.
It was rough. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't want to, like, we have questions, but we're in no rush.
Yeah. Well, get your questions in now, because like, we want this time to be focusing on you and any areas that you just don't understand or need clarification on, because I know there's a ton of material in the members area that there's going to be a lot of different questions, let's just put it that way, on a lot of different topics, and this is all about you. So get your questions in. I know that it takes, it's a delay. It's probably going to take, 3 to 5 minutes to get in.
Exactly.
We make sure to get to as many of them as possible. So.
Yeah, and it can be about gear. It can be about what you're working on. If you're just working on a song, you want to tell us how it's going, we'd love to hear from you, chat about it. Cool. Without further ado, and I should apologize, we were having some technical difficulties before.
Yeah, we had an issue come up that has never come up before.
Yes.
And it didn't make sense, but it made sense.
We figured it out, so let's make sure.
I'm just getting the chat pulled up here.
Everything is working okay.
I know there are a few questions in there already.
There are, yeah, exactly. So feel free to send them in, whatever you guys want to talk about. Should we jump right in at the first one?
Sure.
So this one is from Jesse, and we
Jesse.
kind of, I think you answered this one in the forums already, but it's probably worth talking about anyway.
Okay.
About with no more Thursday, Friday lessons.
Oh, okay. The practice alongs, we stopped doing those just because when I would do them, it'd be at 10 a.m. on a Thursday morning here. Like 2 or 3 people would come out to them. So I figured it would be better if I spend my time and energy on doing other things for the members area. And one of the suggestions there was, we'll have it later in the afternoon like you do the live lessons. So, you may not realize this about the live lessons, but their T or Taylor are sitting there in the studio, and we do these at 4. And technically, the workday for our company is over at 4, so we have to keep them here an hour later. Yeah. I can't do that 2 days a week.
Yeah, so. Exactly. That's exactly right.
But one other thing that I want to start doing more of are the student focus sessions that we've done, 1 or 2 of in the past, where you get feedback on videos of yourself playing. So you get like direct feedback on what you're doing great, what you need to work on, those types of things. So, and I may be speaking out of turn, but if you have a video that you want to submit for student focus and feedback, just email it to me or Andrew. Yeah. Give us a message.
Yeah. Or you can feel free to email support first if you don't know how to contact us. But yeah, send a video, and we'd love to watch it. Okay. We'll just keep cruising on through. Okay. This next question is from Rainer. I hope he's actually able to watch this. I'm not sure if he's able to watch live, but hi, my name is, I'm going to mess this name up because it's Helmut. Is there, I feel like, is that a German name? It seems like a German name, but I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm sorry.
Well, maybe you could fill us in.
Helmet. Phonetically, it looks like helmet. So helmet, Rainer. I get a permanent 308 redirect if I want to get into my account and view missed live events.
That's weird. It may have had I know we had a big update going on this weekend. I'm just going to pop into the live archives right now. Actually, I can't.
So 308? does refer to what I think you were just talking about, is when the site does go down, which there sometimes are outages with, I don't know how to speak this language, but like with our host, I guess how it works, server something, there's an outage, I know over the weekend, I think, and all the sites were down for a short amount of time.
Yeah, that, and it may not look like it, but we had a big like behind the scenes update this past week, and there were some things that were fixed, but a couple things went wrong. It may have had something to do with that as well. Excuse me. Gonna have to put up with my coffee today. And
That's
the coffee is not in here.
That is okay.
That's fine, whatever.
You say your coffee?
Coffee's gone.
Does that help you with your coffee?
Well, just something to wet the whistle.
Wet the whistle. Oh, I always find that drinking coffee makes my mouth like more dry.
Yeah, it does. If you haven't checked it out yet, check out on our YouTube channel, Guitareo YouTube channel. We just released a really cool video on Jimi Hendrix this week. And it's not only informative, but it's really entertaining too. So if you like Jimi Hendrix and you want a couple of little tips on how to play more like him, I would check that out. There's also something really cool coming in a couple of weeks that I can't say anything else about it. Yeah. Andrew will get mad, so.
Yeah. But the Jimi Hendrix lesson is definitely, even if you just were looking for some inspiration, because Nate actually drove down to the memorial, it's really cool. It's just a really cool video, and we want to do more videos like that for you guys, like where it's not
I have some
just,
ideas.
Yeah, we have some cool ideas, like of ways that we're going to change some stuff up as far as like some more fun videos. It was inspiring even for myself, like watching it. I wasn't a part of the video, so I got to watch it as like a viewer, which was really cool. And it's just like, man, it really inspired me to like go pick up my guitar and like
try some things.
Yeah, it really did. And so even those of you guys who maybe you haven't gotten into Jimmy stuff or you feel like his stuff's intimidating, definitely watch the video. It's really good. It's on the YouTube channel.
You may not know it, but we're in Canada just above Seattle, like 3 hours from Seattle, 2.5 hours if there's no traffic. And Jimi Hendrix Memorial is in just outside Seattle in Renton. And when I found that out, I was like, that's it, going, taking you guys with me. Yeah. So that's what that's all about.
Yeah, it's nice how close Seattle is. Like, I always talk to people, we're literally, 20 minutes from the border here?
Yeah.
Okay, next question here. This one is from Jams. Hi guys, I have found a song I would like to learn. I purchased the music from an online music site. The sheet music is only 3 pages long, but has 22 chords, some of which I know and others I have never used. The song is about 40 bars with an intro, some verses with lyrics, a bridge and ending. This is a larger undertaking than I usually attempt. So my question is, when you are learning a new song, how do you approach it?
This is a good question because we're preparing a YouTube video right now on how to figure out songs by ear. But that's going to be like a lot more entertaining, hard-hitting, and fun. This, I'll just give you some tips that I learn or use when I'm like I have to learn 40 cover tunes for a gig or something. The first thing is just listen to it a lot until like as you listen to it, you know exactly what's coming next as far as the form of the song or being able to hear it in your mind as you go along. That will go a long way in making it easier for you to learn the tune. The way I kind of teach cover songs when I'm doing like videos or something like this, or like the song section in the members area, is to first off, if there are any chords that I need to know, I take a look at those and just kind of get those together and start going through those. Just so as I go through each individual part, I'm not slowed down as much. So I'll learn the chords first. And if there are that many chords in a song, especially like a pop song, the odds are there are probably a lot of inversions or a lot of like C over G, that kind of stuff. Or like D over F sharp, something like that.
Yep.
C over G. So it's probably not as bad as you think, even though you will have to learn a couple of new variations on chords you already know. But just write down all the chords you need to know and take it one step at a time. Like cross off the ones you already know, and that leaves, 10 left maybe, and learn those, just start working on those. And then after that, I would start just taking the song one section at a time. Don't try to learn the whole thing at once, otherwise you might get frustrated. So just learn the verse. Once you can play the verse, move on to the chorus. And the same thing, once you can do that, go into the bridge, and then try and put it all together. So don't try to do the whole thing at once, that'll be really frustrating for you. So that's the best advice I have on that.
So I'll share a little bit of advice. Now I'm bad when it comes to learning songs. Like I talked to Nate a bunch about it, but like I play in a band, so I do like a lot of original stuff, but I don't really get to play covers very often, which is kind of sad. Like I would love to play in a cover band. I feel like that would be so much fun, right? So, but I used to play a ton in church, and
That's
that
kinda like being in a
basically is
cover band.
covers,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
So quite often it's going to change a little bit based on the singer or the band composition because that kind of it would change every weekend or whatever. I played probably every week for probably 5 or 6
That's a
years.
lot.
It was a lot back in the day, and it was a really important time in my life for just learning how to play.
Yeah.
It was really good. But what I would do was a slightly different approach, which was instead of taking the sheet music and being like, okay, this is the thing that I'm working off of, and I'm going to use the song as like a reference while I'm learning this. The song is the thing I'm working off of,
Yeah.
and the sheet music or the tablature at the time is the thing that I'm using as a reference. So what I would do is I would start off by going like, okay, I'm going to figure out, there's a bunch of lead parts, let's say. I'm going to figure out the chords first. So I would sit down and listen because it's not that hard once you get the hang of it to figure out the chords to a song, especially like popular, regular, like easy listening songs. So sit there, figure out the chords. I got my structure down, and when I'm playing the chords through a song, it gives you a really good just picture of the entire song, and you get that under your fingers first. Because sometimes I find like when you're learning a song, you're going piece by piece, like from the beginning, but it's like hard to remember sometimes. It's like this many bars for a verse, this many bars for a chorus. then it's
Yeah, I
a
don't even think
verse.
about that unless it's a really weird song.
Totally, totally. So I like finding like and it's actually a way that the guys do it in Nashville too. When they are going to record on a song, like the really good session guys, they sit down first, they listen to the demo, and they just chart out the song first. So you get all the chords down. You can either write it down or you can remember it in your head, whatever's easier. And then I go in and I start listening. I try and figure out the parts by ear, piece by piece, like you were talking about. So maybe I'll start with the first half of the verse or the intro or whatever, work my way through the song. And then if I have a hard time with something, then I go to the tab, then I go to the sheet music and go, okay, well now, am I doing this right? Or I can't figure this out, how do I do it? And then I take that. That's the approach that I've taken. It's worked, but it's kind of in my limited sphere of experience.
And I kind of do that. I do the same thing, but like when as far as going to tab or chord charts, I sometimes go to there just to verify or not verify because the internet is the wild west of wrong guitar tabs. So just keep that in mind. Even ones you pay for, there's probably at least one little thing wrong with them.
It is very hard. Guitar specifically, it's very hard to transpose accurately because there's so many spots to play the same note.
Yeah, and it's so organic. Like this and this sound very similar, but it's not.
Oh yeah, and from player to player, it's going to
Yeah.
sound so different too. Yeah.
Cool. I wish I knew what song you were learning. If you're in there, or if you want to email us, just to know, let us know what song you're learning.
I'd love to know
I
too.
would like to. I'm just curious.
Be awesome.
Cool.
Next one. It's from Dave PL48. Hey Nate, I've seen you use an Epiphone Joe Pass and also a Gretsch for jazz. Any recommendations for a good, inexpensive jazz guitar? Thanks. I have a good recommendation, but you go.
I had the Joe Pass you saw was with a guitar system.
I remember that.
And I literally rented that from the local music store for like $15
Just for a jazz
for 2
guitar?
days and filmed it and then took it back.
Cool.
The Gretsch I bought at the same music store for $450 used. Awesome deals. Impulse buy. I was like, yep, gotta have it. But like I'm not a jazz player. But it depends how much money you want to spend. If you want to spend less than $500, get an Epiphone or an Ibanez. Or a Gretsch. Gretsch has a little bit different vibe than a jazz guitar. Actually, a Godin Fifth Avenue, those are nice as well. Actually, that's probably the best value for under $1,000. Best quality / value, I would think, maybe. But any of those brands, just pick the one that speaks most to you. I used to own an Ibanez hollow body until the airlines broke the headstock. Otherwise, I'd probably still be playing that. It's very
Thumbs up when you said that.
It's very similar to the Gretsch, except for the pickups. The pickups on the Gretsch are way different. But those are all things under $1,000. If you want to spend over $1,000, I really like, it's not really jazzy, but PRS S2 semi-hollow body or anything
You can play jazz on
Gibson.
that.
You can play jazz on anything. There's a lot of there's players who play jazz on Les
Tellys.
Pauls, Tellys.
Yeah. I mean, Les Paul was a jazz player.
Yeah.
Right? The Les Paul is originally designed for jazz.
For jazz, yeah.
I'll just quickly interject on the things you're saying. Number one thing that I recommend when you're looking at a jazz guitar, hollow body is or semi-hollow
Yeah.
is like, it's kind of the quintessential jazz things. There's guys who play it on Strats and Tellys and other
for
things
sure.
too. And you could totally get away with it. The main thing is neck pickup.
Yep.
Warm it up.
Yeah,
So when we say warm it up, just roll the volume knob back a little bit. Actually, it takes some of the shrillness out, and the tone knob, you can bring that back. Don't just turn it off. That's a big mistake that I see a lot of jazz players do. They just turn it all the way off, and it's not only taking the top off, it's actually taking away a lot of the mids and the meat of your tone. So if you just roll it back like halfway and bring your guitar volume knob back just a little bit, you can pretty much do it. I mean, try it with this. Just
Okay,
with the tone
so
you
here's like what a single coil would be.
Okay.
Here's humbucker,
Okay.
and back on the volume a little bit. Did I do both? No, yeah, I did both. Okay, good.
Yeah.
A little too much. And this is sensitive.
Exactly. And the main thing, now you're noticing it more, I think it has to do with the type of pots in that guitar and also the type of rig you're running through. But a lot of guitars, when you roll the volume knob back like from 10 to like 8.5 or 9, you don't have a big volume dip. That guitar's got a pretty big volume dip.
That's pretty drastic, yeah.
Which it depends also how you like your volume knob to work. A lot of people have different uses for it. Yours is like set up like really well for like swells,
Yeah.
right? But a lot of people will use it like Santana is a good example. He actually just has his guitar always on 8, and his tone is just when he plays lead, he turns it to 10,
Turns it up, yeah.
and he goes back to 8 for rhythm, and it's like that simple.
I do that on my telly a lot.
Oh yeah. That's I try and do that on my my Fanos, like that guitar for me. Wow, I just went on a little bit of a rabbit trail. I meant to say.
You use what's available to you, like even if you can't go out and buy a jazz guitar right now, just do those things, right?
The Gretsch pickups tend to sound a little on the bright side because it's not necessarily meant for jazz, but you can totally pull it off in the same way that you just did with the Les Paul. But Ibanez Artcore models are so cool.
Super inexpensive, super consistent.
And that and basically anything from the Ibanez line. You'd be perfectly happy with any of those guitars.
Especially on the art cores, they're shorter scale. So are the Gretches. Throw heavier strings on it. Maybe my 10s felt like 9s, so maybe throw some 11s on there.
Wound G string.
Yeah, wound G string or just flat wound strings.
Yep.
To mellow it out a little bit.
Yep.
And those are heavier all the time, so think about that too.
Experiment. The nice thing about strings is it's a fairly cheap way to experiment with tones and stuff.
Yeah.
But always remember, like, even the guitar you have. Oh, this is Dave. I can't remember Dave PL40. What kind of guitar you have? I don't know if you've posted about it before. But like one of my favorite jazz tones is a telly, neck pickup. Roll
I
back
like
a
that
bit.
too a lot.
That's it. It's just like there's the right amount of articulation.
Yeah.
It's just warm enough. Oh.
A Guthrie Trap, I like his. I mean, he's not really jazz, but has jazz influence, right?
Yep.
I like his tone. What else was I going to say? That's something really cool that I can't remember. Oh, Pat Martino. He plays a Les Paul or Les Paul style guitar. He uses 15 gauge strings. They're flat wounds. And he is like 78.
Ooh. He doesn't bend, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You get really, I guess you could set it up with like really low action, so you're not pushing like super hard. I feel like if you had high action, they would push back on your fingers so hard they'd like go through your finger.
That's nuts. Yeah, I don't know.
Jeepers. Jams just sent in a thing saying the song that he's learning is I Think It's Going to Rain Today by Randy Newman.
I'll have to check that out. I don't know that I've heard that. I may have. I'm not sure.
Randy Newman, is he the Toy Story guy?
You know, I don't know.
I can't remember. That's somebody Newman. I can't remember. Like the You Got a Friend in Me? What song is that? I could check, but I'm not going to check. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that song. I got 2 questions. Yeah, 2 questions here from Beechnut. Can you do a session on amp settings for different genres of music?
Sure. We have a video plan that's coming out in a couple of months. It's called How to Use Your Guitar Amp. I've given away too much information. No, but it's gonna be fun. It's gonna address a lot of the really stupid problem things that we run into as guitarists when you're setting up your amp. A lot of the annoying things. So we'll do that, and yeah, we can do something like that. I don't know if you've gone through. What's the gear fundamentals? I think it is gear fundamentals. That I'm pretty sure it goes through how to set up your amp for certain styles of music here in the members area for Guitareo. It's just called Gear Fundamentals, so check that out in the meantime.
Yeah. The tough thing with amps is like they're probably there's not an exact science, but they are the most significant contributor to the way your guitar sounds. More so than the actual guitar you have and everything. The amp is the 70% of your tone thing, and a lot of guitar players don't think that way. They'll buy like a cheaper amp or whatever, and then they'll have like a more expensive guitar. But the amplifier or modeling software, like that matters a lot more, like the type. So setting it up also means it's going to be very different from amp to amp, right? So, and obviously genre to genre. So it's like if you have a Blues Junior, right, and you want to play metal, well, getting that, it's going to be, first of all, it's going to be really hard. You can get a good metal sound out of it, but you're going to go about that very differently than like a Black Star combo or something, right? So you have to, and vice versa, if you want to get that Black Star to just sound like really good for like indie music, it's going to be more challenging. I don't have a ton of experience with Black Star. That's just me thinking off the top of my head. It's a very in-depth topic. Now I would suggest, I'm just trying to think. I need to know what kind of amp you have to give you like good recommendations. So feel free to send that in, but if I don't have experience with it, then it's kind of hard to give advice.
A Beach Nut in the chat says, I just bought a new electric and an amp and don't know the basic lingo. Yeah, definitely go through. Actually, I'm going to go through the members area while Andrew talks and give you the exact...
Yeah, the Gear Fundamentals. Yeah, give them the link. That's a good idea. It's worth going through. Just wait until you get even more into it. The lingo never ends. Let's see, what did you say here?
Topics.
Just the basics. Okay, that will definitely help. But if Nate or I ever say anything that you don't understand,
just
let us know. And
call us up.
Yeah.
Guitar Fundamentals. Gear Fundamentals. Here it is. I will send you the link in the chat right now.
Nice. That'll at least be a good place to start.
Yeah. Building your own tone. That's generally the lesson you want to go with. There's guitar amplifiers, guitar pedals, all that stuff too. So that's definitely what you need to check out. Here you go.
I also did a live lesson last year, I think.
Yeah.
On getting to know your gear or something like that. It'd be worth going through the archives and finding that one. And then another question here from Beach Nut. I had a question about transitioning from acoustic to electric guitar. The getting started on electric guitar session isn't that clear.
I saw this question earlier today, and it's funny because Andrew messaged me. He's like, "Crap, I brought my acoustic today because I didn't know we were doing like a blues jam." I was like, "That's perfect. Play your acoustic for the blues jam," because there's a question in the question box already for that's kind of addressing this already. And really, going from acoustic to electric, there's not a whole lot of difference. The biggest thing you're probably going to notice is, like, if you, let's say you're playing a bar chord, a G bar chord. If I push down too hard on electric, it's going to go sharp, even a single note.
Yeah.
So that's probably going to be the one thing initially that you're going to need to adjust to. Everything, like all the tools and techniques and elements of playing that you've been working on so far, exact same thing applies. Acoustic probably has heavier strings on it. It has 12s. Your electric probably has 9s or 10s. So you're not going to have to push as hard, for chords. If you do, it's going to go sharp. Also, if you hit lighter strings harder, that can make them go sharp as well.
You do like a wow thing.
Yeah. Versus.
That's the main reason why I went up in gauge.
There you go.
I had both those issues, which was picking too hard. When I'd pick so hard, they would wow and go out of tune. And also, when I would fret, especially when you're like playing live and you're not thinking a ton, I would like bend my notes a little bit out of tune constantly because of how hard I was pushing. Bad technique, technically.
Another, you're just going to have to adjust your playing to be softer overall, because one thing, if I play a lot of flat picking on acoustic, I find, like, even if I have a light touch with my left hand when I go back to electric, I find I'm just blasting out my picked notes. I have to really adjust, so I'm putting in way too much effort, because I don't need as much volume or to hit the strings as hard as I would on acoustic to get the volume out of the guitar.
Yes.
So just be careful with those things. Other than that, it's pretty much the exact same thing. If you can, let us know in the chat what type of amp you have. Maybe we can give you some pointers on that.
I'd be curious the type of guitar you got too.
Fender Champion 400. So that's, don't use the entire, you can use the entire chord. He says don't use the entire chord, right?
He's kind of thinking, I guess, of like transitioning to like...
It depends on the context you're playing. If you're playing by yourself, or if you're the only guitar player, and there's just bass and drums, then you're probably gonna want fuller chords maybe, depending on the style of music. If there's a keyboard player or acoustic guitar player, you might wanna use just some partial chords. It really depends on the style of music too. If you're playing like big rock, full bar chords is fine.
I
depends.
play like rock, blues, country, like pop, that kind of genre, and I play with another guitar player a lot. One of us is always playing full chords.
Yeah.
That's just the way we do it. So don't worry about it too much. I think a lot of times it's because on acoustic you can't get away as much with playing smaller
it sounds just a little
groups.
empty.
And so on electric, because you can get away with it, we tend to play it more, and it's like a useful tool, where on acoustic it's not. So that doesn't mean that on an electric you can't.
Yeah, for sure.
You can still
There's nothing wrong
play
with it. It
full
just
chords.
depends on style and preference.
Absolutely.
Was it Fender Champion 400? I believe that's the one with like
see.
the 5 or 6 different amp models. I think Andrew's going to verify that
Yes.
right now. If so, when you have a guitar that uses like modeling technology, it usually starts off when like the knob is turned down to 0. It starts off with amp models that are very clean, like a nice Fender Deluxe Reverb, and then the more you go to the center, it gets a little bit dirtier. Maybe you're like a Marshall, and then the farther you go to the right, as you turn the knob up, it gets to like a Mesa Boogie high gain metal amp. So just experiment with, if you like a cleaner sound, stay on the side of the dial. If you like a dirtier sound, just be aware of that as you turn the dial over.
40, not 400.
40.
I see here. What's that? Oh yeah, it's got amp voicings. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, just do that and start with moderate settings. Like leave the treble, bass, and middle up just at noon, straight in the middle to start.
Yeah.
And then just adjust from there to what sounds good to you.
Yeah. Especially with smaller amps, you can be a little bit more liberal with the low end. So I know we always talk about like my recommendation for everyone with like guitar amps is like turn down the bass knob. But with smaller box amps, you might want to bring it up a little bit because the smaller speakers tend to come across a little less bass. Wait, hold on a second. Never mind. It's got 12-inch.
Oh,
Never mind.
that's cool.
Never mind. That's awesome.
That's right. You get the Michael Kelly hybrid. That was a really cool looking guitar. It's the first time I've seen it in the forums. I remember you posting about that. That's cool. That's an awesome guitar.
Michael Kelly.
It's like a kind of like a T5, Taylor T5,
yeah.
but it's more of an electric on its own.
Okay.
Right? So,
Cool.
Yeah.
Michael, I'm gonna have to look into that one. I haven't heard of that one before.
Sweet. Okay. Cool.
All right, we'll move on to the next one. Oh, this is awesome. Okay, so this is from Catman. Do you? Yeah. Say, Nate, how young were you when you made your most embarrassing video that was understandably emotional? Take care, and I'm glad you found someone special like I
I was like 29 or 30. Had to be 29.
did. Okay, but be honest though, that wasn't real.
No, it was not real. Jared was like, you should do this video naked, or at least have your underwear on to where you look like you're naked. And I was like, okay. He's like, no, don't do that. They might get some backlash from it.
Yeah.
Still do it, but you have to like cry and run off the camera. Okay, that's fine.
It's amazing because I came around a lot later. I think that was 2009, right? So that was
Yeah.
2009, maybe 2010 at the latest. And I saw that video and I did not know if it was real or not. And if you read the comments on that video, people don't know either. They don't know. You did a heck of a job for your first acting kind of debut. Very impressive. Very impressive. But it was not real.
It was not real.
He faked it, but very convincing.
Apparently, that was acting.
Very convincing. We only got a couple more in here. So if we don't get more by the time we're through, then we'll just call her there. But feel free to send in more questions if you guys have more questions or you have a suggestion as to something you want us to talk about. Next one here from Alex B. How do you split your attention effectively between what you're playing and other sounds, so jam tracked or other people playing instruments? Are you thinking like as far as like listening, I'm guessing? So splitting your attention between like when you and I play together, are you just focusing on like how do you know the context?
I don't always. I have to work at it. Just practicing awareness and being like, say if you're playing to a click, I'll use this example because it's really common. In a church band, playing along to a click. And musicians at church are not always the best at timing. So you really have to listen to it, otherwise it's a nightmare. You have to really be conscious of it. And part of being able to do that is knowing the songs better or as good as you can in that context. So having like if I don't have to look at the chord chart, if I have the song memorized, then I can concentrate on the click, or if I'm not, if I practice a riff or a lick that's part of the song enough to where I don't have to think about it and concentrate on it, I can listen to the band and kind of stay in that groove that they're in, so the song sounds as good as it can. So I guess it comes down to, like, if it's just your G, C, and D chord and changing between those to play through a song, know those really well and be able to change through them on their own without a metronome, without playing to a jam track or anything. Once you can do that, then go to the jam track, and it'll be a lot easier for your mental resources to be freed up to concentrate on the jam track or the click or whatever it is.
I think one of the things that really like separates the good from the great when it comes to musicians is those really high-level musicians are so good at listening to everything else first, and that's like their priority. So when they're coming up with they're really like tasteful parts, and it's like, man, everything that guy plays just fits so perfect. It's because they're listening so intently to what the other musicians are doing, and they're not thinking so much about what they're playing. And I find like there's a very good zone as you get better and more comfortable, like physically, and get the facilities down, where like I'm sure you get there too when you play live. You're not even thinking about what you're playing. You're literally just, it's happening, and you're just paying attention to either the whole experience or you're paying attention to what the other guitar player's doing, the drummer's doing, stuff like that. It becomes, the more you do it, the easier it becomes to kind of get into that mindset. That's how it is for me, at least.
And like the more you do it with your repertoire of songs, that makes it a lot easier, not having to be like an intermediate level or a beginner level guitar player. I'm trying to improvise over these chord changes. That's going to be really tough.
Yeah.
Playing songs that you already know and working on them over and over again to get them down really well, to where you can know them so well that you can refine them and really concentrate on the groove and timing, and just playing with other people is, I think, a big deal.
Yeah, that's a good point. Absolutely. Got one more in here. This one is from Daryl S. Hey, Nate and Andrew,
cool.
I want to start getting more into learning guitar licks. Beyond Guitareo, there's a lot of other stuff out there, YouTube videos, different players with different approaches, etc., which can both be confusing and overwhelming. How did each of you approach this topic when you started out? And are there specific books, DVDs, or other resources either of you would recommend I check out? Thanks, Daryl. That is a question we could talk about for hours.
Well, I've got a video coming out that's gonna determine a lot if we're gonna start like teaching riffs and licks and things like that on YouTube. Hopefully it does well, and we can start doing more stuff like that. That's gonna be one way to do it. But to me, the most valuable thing for learning riffs and licks and things like that, leads, is just developing your ear. And I know that sounds like a like a cop-out question, like, oh, just develop your ear, and then you can hear things and pick it up.
Yeah.
But it's true, because like often if you rely on other people to show you things, this, number one, it's not going to be 100% accurate, or, I don't think anything's ever 100% accurate, but there's a lot of, not bad, but inaccurate things out there on the internet as far as tab and things like that. And just developing your ear is the best way to do that. And the only way to do that is to sit down with something that's accessible to you, that you think you can learn, that's not too hard, and then try to figure it out. Try your best to figure it out, and then go look at somebody who you trust, who has also, like, maybe they have a YouTube video on that lick, and just look at it and see what you got right and what you got wrong, and then go back and listen to him and be like, oh yeah, that's what that was. And just do that over and over again on stuff that you like, and eventually you'll get to where your ear can start to pick stuff out. There's something else I was going to say. I lost my train of thought, though. Andrew, thoughts? I'll gather mine.
As far as books and DVDs, like I've said many times before, I didn't learn conventionally, so I had lessons when I first started for about a year when I was 8 or 9 years old, and then very, very little teaching after that at all. And most of it was just spending time sitting with my guitar and just developing my ear, like Nate said. And kind of the big step into that for me was learning how to find the key of a song very quickly. And I guess speed doesn't really matter if you're just trying to get into developing as a bit more of a lead guitar player. Whether that's learning famous licks, coming up with your own licks, they kind of go hand in hand. But just being able to find the key and understand when I'm listening to this song, so let's say I want to learn this riff from this song, Well, quite often you go, well, where the heck do I even start?
I
Like,
start,
I can't tell. And so what I would do when I was learning those licks is I would go, or still, I do this still now when I'm learning, if I need to learn a lick really quick that I hear on Spotify or whatever, I find the key of the song that I'm playing, which Nate and I have very different methods. We did a really cool live lesson, how to find the key of a song back last summer. Go in the archives, check it out. It's a little bit longer, but it's really, like, we really go into our different kind of methods, and we test each other a bunch. It's really fun. But what that does is then I go, okay, this song is in the key of E flat. Well, I know that with that first lick, now all of a sudden I know, okay, well, I've unlocked the entire fretboard as far as I know which notes I'm allowed to play. I have like a home bass starting point. And as I'm learning the lick, I can, okay, well, that note I know is the right note. Okay, let's start trying to learn the lick with that being the start. Okay, that's close. It's like, oh, okay, I found it because I know the key, so then it gives me all of a sudden like the place to start at least, instead of it being like, this isn't like the best, I'm trying to think of a better, because that's how I start, like I just start by just lining it up with like a major scale in the one spot I know, and then it's like, oh, right octave, wrong octave, and then I go to the correct octave in a different spot, which is not always super easy to do. I should just say, start developing your ear, start trying to find the key of the song, and then from there, you can focus on learning licks. That's like the best way to start.
What a good exercise to do would just be to play your open chords, like G, right? And try to work on singing the root note. G. So play another open chord, C. And develop the ability to match a pitch of a certain note. What happens when you play chords, there's 3 different distinct notes going on here. In a C chord, there's a C, E, and a G. So being able to pull out the sound of a C, the root note, out of this chord, and hear it in my head is like the most basic. And if that's too hard for you, try a power chord. Try a different power chord. Oh. There you go. Right? And that'll be easier for you. So let's say you have a song that's going. Right? So there's a lot of chords going by. What the exercise with being able to pull the root note out of the chord is going to do for you is going to get you one step closer to being able to hum the root note or the tonic of a key and not just a chord. So I was playing a G sharp or an A flat, right? I was playing in the key of A flat. And I can sing an A flat throughout the entire thing just because I've trained my ear to be able to, first of all, recognize the root note of this A flat chord, and then just to be able to hear the key center of a chord progression. And that may sound really cryptic to you, but start with just your open chords and just like pick a key, C major, and then just like play a 1 chord and a 5 chord. C and a G. This guitar so out of tune.
I know.
And then just try to be able to hum a C note, the root note, the tonic note of whatever key you're in. That's a great place to start because you're just basically working on pitch matching and be able to identify a key center. And as soon as you can match pitch, that's going to go a long way in being able to identify riffs and learn riffs and things like that. So,
yep.
There was a question in the chat.
Yes, and then we're gonna end it on that.
Okay.
This one is a follow-up one from Beach Nut. Can you demonstrate a few bars of a song on acoustic and then electric? I thought the style is different, like no strumming, no cowboy chords, solos, etc.
It depends what your goals are and how you want to play the guitar. Like, play G, C, and a D. Keep playing that.
you play a G, C, and a D, open chords, cowboy chords. Right? So I can do the same type of stuff. Even if Nate were to continue playing open cowboy chords, I could. But there's everything that I just did there and everything Nate did there, we can just switch and play the same thing.
It depends more on what you like, what style of music you're doing, and what sound you're trying to convey in your playing. I mean, it's all, like literally everything in the members area up to this point, all the series, can be applied to acoustic or electric.
Yes. The only time I think like you really get into exclusive stuff, and it's not even that way, it's like when you get really shreddy like metal stuff, it's like, yeah, maybe on acoustic it's a little self-indulgent, you know? But it still completely applies, right? Like if you have a really well set up acoustic guitar, you can still play the same stuff. So
go watch a video of Monty Montgomery online. Look up Romeo and Juliet by Monty Montgomery on YouTube. That is insane. Most people on the planet cannot play what he's playing on electric, and he's playing acoustic. It's just nuts. So it really doesn't matter. I mean, yeah, there are cliches and things that are more, quote unquote, stereotypical and geared towards acoustic or electric, but all of the elements are the same for each. It depends if you choose to use them in the style you're pursuing or not.
Right. We have one more question. Can we answer it quick and then we'll end it there? This one is from Paul59. Hey, Nate and Andrew, I would like to learn more about arpeggios. Are arpeggios considered a style of guitar playing? I have heard them best described as playing the notes within a chord shape. Do we currently have any arpeggios lessons in the Guitareo lesson plan? Also, is fingerstyle playing considered a way of playing the arpeggios within a chord shape?
This is a good example of how like stereotypes for acoustic and electric can get kind of pigeonholed to either the acoustic or the electric. Because play just cowboy chord G, C, D. Okay, so Andrew's just playing strumming chords. I was doing what they call arpeggiating, or playing the notes one at a time. That's more, I guess, more commonly thought of with finger style on acoustic. Right? Now, arpeggios when it comes to electric guitar are more thought of as like lead guitar things. So just a strum on an open G, same kind of vibe. So mostly what I was doing there was taking this D shape, moving it up to where it was a G, and using that shape right there as kind of an...
But you're using that arpeggio.
That arpeggio is kind of like the framework. The cool thing about that is instead of just knowing he's playing a G chord, I know there's a G here. I can play that and play just a scale over it. I can get a little more pointed, and I know. And choose either the root, the third, or the fifth based on this arpeggio shape, or this, or this. So I have a better idea. I have 3 anchor notes that I can choose from and then build other things off from there for leads and things like that. So I can actually play over the chord changes instead of just running up and down scales, running up and down pentatonic scales, things like that. It also makes it easier to pick out melodies. If you can hear the roots, there's a fifth in your head, and you're like, well, it doesn't go to the root. I mean, it doesn't go to the third. Maybe it goes to the second. Right. But I still see this thing in my head. So I don't know the fourth is here. So that type of playing is thought of a lot more as electric playing, but it's still just as valid for acoustic guitar. What if you're playing over a D chord? Play D, just the same kind of groove. Right? The reason people think about playing acoustic more down here on this end of the guitar is because it's thicker strings. Farther up you go, the strings generally get a little higher off and it's a little bit harder to play. But those are like the two main uses for arpeggios. If you are in Guitar Technique Made Easy, the last 2 weeks are completely on arpeggios.
Nice.
So
it's Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So be looking forward to that. That is gonna. I know how much you've been working, how well you've been like digging into everything. So like after Guitar Technique Made Easy is over, you're gonna be ready to just go on a tear for whatever style of music you want, Paul. I'm very confident of that.
Yeah, it's basically you're gonna have like the best possible foundation you can possibly.
Yeah, you're gonna be set up for a lot of success.
Absolutely. Cool. I think that's it, man.
Yep.
Okay, well, I hope you guys enjoyed like the Q&A style. It's kind of fun just to be able to chit-chat about this stuff. We're gonna do the same thing again next week, same time. So you can send in questions already. You can send in questions beforehand if you guys want to. Anything else you want to add about anything that you can think of before we go?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I
cool.
know we have a new series coming out in the members area very soon.
Awesome.
That's going to be fingerstyle.
Nice.
Fingerstyle, so it's going to be really good.
Nice.
Don Ross, psychotic.
Yes.
Really good.
Yes, I'm excited for that one.
Cool.
It's gonna be awesome. Okay, we're not gonna play out today. I think we're just gonna end it here. Cool. Thanks, guys. Thanks everyone for coming out. We'll see you guys next time.